And the fourth map, the very last one for this match between Czech Republic A and China side, is going to be played on what's going to be the surprise map. Huh. I remember the map, but I don't know the name. The Wind Puddles. Okay. So the Twin Puddles is going to be the map in here. It's basically signified by the Twin Puddles. What else? They are going to be having a lot of fishies in there, which of course means that they are going to be quite interesting to use for the water. But you mustn't forget that the spawns are kind of funny. There is going to be Licks against Ovenka in here on the right, and they are going to be fighting for the water the same as on the left. It's going to be fight between China number 2, and this time he's going to be facing against Yannick. So China number 2 getting yet another flank position for himself. Not sure if he's going to be all that happy about it, because so far 2 games that he was flanked and it was absolutely disastrous for him in both of those. Yeah, well, and this gold, definitely pretty sucky indeed, because if he happens to lose the water, if there's going to be any kind of fight for that, he's of course going to be without any kind of gold in there. He's going to be forced into the back one. Luckily he does have it, so that's a bit of a help for him. But yeah, if he didn't, that would be pretty terrible. And maybe even in the late game, it could still become a problem, because he might be out of this gold in that case. Yeah, so is there going to be some kind of stealing? So far I don't see anything. Just villager apparently coming for a dock. Or whatnot. Right now he's probably just scouting if his opponent is docking or what or not. Interesting. Looking at the civilizations in the meantime, as we are looking at a bit of an odyssey of the Ovenka's villager in here. We are looking at Mongols, Huns, Spanish and Mayans. And it's going to be a bit different in there for CZs. Let's say it will coming up just to make sure. Wait a minute, is he gonna be trying to wall off the water? Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. Licks with, of course. You are on top of that. And Ovenka is not going to be helping enough. He's probably going to be killing at least one of the scouts, but he might be losing the villager. In the process of salvage, he definitely will be. Yeah, this is going to be turning into absolute disaster. And all those scouts are going to be still very much alive. I'm really not sure what the plan was here. Is he going to be sending another villager? No, he's not. But this was absolutely weird. But there had to have been some kind of plan. I have really no idea what it was. But it definitely backfired quite strongly. And in the meantime, of course, going to be also giving a bit more thought to the civilizations in here. So what's the difference in that? We are looking at Persians from CZs, and they are missing Huns. Interesting choice, but both are having horses, so why not? And China number 2 is going to be playing with the duck, and of course Yannick is going to be docking as well. So they are going to be having a bit of a fight between themselves. It's going to be Spanish against Han. It's not bad. Not bad. Should be maybe slightly better for Han, because he doesn't need to spend the wood on all the houses. I would be expecting you could be having a bit higher number of boats in there in the early game, as we have already watched China number 2 killing Error Scout, which is of course a bit of a problem for him, as right now Fengxian definitely didn't help his teammate. Oh, he absolutely screwed the Duralier. Yeah, the opposite. Deer lure. Duralier. Yeah, damn it. He was just pushing the deer very nicely, and then Fengxian just went around and said, nope. You're not gonna get that deer. All the work right now wasted. Well, interesting indeed in there. Interesting in here. Now, so of course, Yannick is already finished with the dock. China number 2 is just going to be slightly slower, as we have seen a bit before. As at the bottom is of course right now going to be resulting in an absolute disaster for Ovenka. Even though he does have the dock already up, it seems like that walling is going to be coming from lakes. I'm just gonna have to ask him after the game why this happened. What was this supposed to do? Was he in the end actually trying to palisade his own village to basically protect him against the scouts? Because he was seeing the disaster that was going to happen in there? That might be some kind of idea behind it, because I really have problems seeing anything else behind it. Not really sure. Of course, 2 boats already, so he's apparently slightly faster than his opponent. His opponent Licks in there. Licks quite nicely walling himself in. It's going to be fairly easy. He's having a very nice position for that. Very nice positions in that, as there is going on a bit of flaring from the Chinese team, because they definitely want to let each other know where they are and where are going to be the walls of their empire. Who are going to be the pockets? Skull as the Mongol, Error as the Persian. Not bad pockets, to be honest. Not bad pockets at all. Fengxian as the Mayan. And, well, the other one is going to be Yo as the Mongol. So, very similar. Very similar. And, well, the Wallin. Definitely not really any kind of adventurous Wallin in here, as the Eagle Warrior is trying to kill at least one of the villages. And the reason for that is because he did receive some extra damage, or rather she did receive some extra damage before. So that's the reason why he's able to kill her. Already some wall up. Apparently from Fengxian. Yeah, they're just going to be finishing with the wall pretty soon. Yeah, this was not the best wall. They will need to finish about here. But why not? Why not be having second row of walls when it can be working? Middle Ages Error. China number 2, Ovenka and Yo. Yannick already not in. But Skull is in already quite fast. And he's probably going to be hoping that he's going to be fast enough to actually push through the walls before they are finished. And it definitely could be. Because this is just right now foundations. And there's not enough walling in the middle at all. Right now they've basically been able to deny the walling in here. And they are going to be forcing a whole lot more difficult walling right next to the town center. Basically to try and protect the stone. At least against the scout cavalry guys, and the gold maybe as well, but it's going to be pretty hard, as Skull exactly knows what's going to happen in there, and he is in the village as well. And Error, well, how's it going to look from him? Not sure. So far, he doesn't have anything. He's just probably going to be booming. He's already walling himself in as well, together with Yannick, and they have already built quite a nice little base for themselves. Apparently, there was a scout that died. Not sure about the colors all that much. Not really sure what was the color in there for him. But yeah, it mustn't be forgotten that Error is... Oh, this is interesting choice. Interesting choice, because CZs are going to be coming for a double on the water. Or double. It's going to be more or less a single. Because apparently Yannick is not going to be fighting for the water at all. He's going to be just fast castling probably. Whereas it's going to be Error who is going to be taken to battle for CZs against China number 2 in here. And it seems like that he's going to be quite all set up. And yeah, that's going to be a very good fight between China number 2 as the Han and then Error as the Persian. So, on the right though, it seems like that the Tower Rush is going to be coming up in numbers yet again. And this is a valiant range. This is very well played by Ovenka. And pretty difficult situation for Lex, to be honest. Because his next gold is somewhere at the back. I'm thinking this one. This little one in there. Potentially even the little one at the back. And he's in an absolutely disastrous position because he's losing both golds. Both big golds for himself. And I'm not exactly sure what he's gonna do. As a Spanish, without gold, why would you even advance into Castle Age? Because you need to drop the castle. And for that, for the Conquistadors in there, you're going to be needing just a ton of... of course, gold for the Conquistadors. So very tough moments coming up. He's still going to be continuing apparently with the Castle Age. Hoping to drop the castle, and that's going to be pretty much the victory for him. As in the meantime, the villagers and militias trying to get rid of the house, and that's going to be a pretty hard job. Still, the archers could be shooting in here. That's 1, 2, 3. They definitely could be from this position shooting at those villages. It's a bit of a shame that Ovenka so far isn't noticing, and he's going to be trying to put his opponent out the water as well. And since he does have the gold, whereas his opponent doesn't, let's switch into lakes. He's out of gold altogether. He won't be even able to defend himself at all. Oh, this is well played by Mayans with Ovenka. And of course, that's going to be a blacksmith. And since he doesn't need all that many extra villages, or rather extra archers, he's probably going to be hoping that he can advance into the Castle Age in some reasonable time as well. As in the meantime, Skull in the pocket, trying to at least slow down Yo, which seems to be working quite alright as well. Castle Ages from Yo and Fengxian. In the meantime, also from Lix and Yannick. I'm not exactly sure why I'm calling him Yannick, because I know that it's Yannick as a Czech. So I just need to start calling him that way, as Yannick, because that's what it is in Czech. And that's what it's actually supposed to mean. So yeah, let's call him Yannick from now on. And not really Yannick, the English pronunciation. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a Czech caster, of course. Well, in the meantime, of course, the water battle going a whole lot better for Error. And this seems actually that CZ's prepare for this map a whole lot. And they are doing such a great job, because definitely Error just won the water. And right now we are going to be looking at a huge advantage for his team, because of course he is going to be in control of this gold. In the Imperial Age he probably will be, especially with some potential cannon galleons. But yeah, much more importantly, he's going to be securing the gold from Yannick, and well, that is going to be going a whole long way into his advantage. And just a bit of scouting in here and whatnot, running around, trying to be obnoxious, but that's not gonna work, as in the meantime Lix has of course lost all the water economy, and Skull is going to be joining into the fun, with the castle just now being finished for Lix. That is going to be securing him the gold mines. Now this tower actually should be in the range of the castle, I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, that should be in range. So if he wants to destroy it, he should be able to. And right now he's exactly doing that, so he's going to be putting a stop to that very easily. And this might be a bit of an issue, because Ovenka might be, or rather will be losing the blacksmith sometime soon, and he will have to rebuild it a bit later, which is of course a bit of wasted resources, and he's gonna be forced to somehow wall himself up, because even though he's nicely camped in the opponent's base, right now the Conquistadors are going to be coming up because of the gold being in his power yet again. Yeah, right now already coming up with it. And yeah, the tower is going to be just one last hope that he can be somehow helping himself. Already Yo is going to be all up in arms with the knights, helping his teammate as some first fire ship is going to be trying to put a stop to all the economy of his opponent. He's already succeeded in that, and of course right now it will mean that Ovenka won't be able to gather food from that food source anymore. In the meantime, bit of an attempt at walling still continued by China number 2 with all the stone walls and whatnot, even with the market at the back, but it seems like he wasn't really successful all that fast, rather quickly enough, and those conquistadors from Yannick are going to be putting a stop to that in full. Nicely played by Yannick, Yannick, not Yannick, Yannick. That's what I want to pronounce it, how I want to pronounce it. And yeah, that seems like, yet again, China number 2 having the hardest games of the Chinese players for basically the whole duration of the games, already going for the tower so that he can protect himself a bit more on the very crucial goal. Even though he does have the second one, it's not going to be his anymore, as those conquistadors are just running all around the base and try to kill as many villagers as possible. 26 idle, 27 idle out of 37. That's quite a lot. Archer still up from Ovenka, who is still in feudal age, the same as China number 2, and Error. Error just now clicking into castle age though. So he should be starting to advance pretty soon as well. Let's switch into his point of view. How's it looking? How's it looking? Not well. Not well at all. It seems like he doesn't have economy at all. He was probably counting with the water economy for himself, but since he has lost that altogether, due to one fire ship from Lex in there, it seems that he's going to be struggling quite significantly, and he will need all the assistance that he can get from especially Skull, who is already going to be attempting to do exactly that with the camels. Is it going to be enough? I'm not really sure. As the Lex was attempting to drop a siege works so that he can get rid of all those pesky archer ranges and whatnot, but seems like that he's going to be just now finishing. It's going to be taking a bit more time to get rid of that. But at any rate, the army is getting a bit stronger, and with Yo's help, he should be able to control this quite alright. And Ovenka, to be honest, he should be already escaping with those villages if he wants to save them. If not, he can just leave them die there, of course. Not really any kind of problem with that. But otherwise, he doesn't have all that much of a chance to actually do anything significant in here with feudal age archers against castle age units like conquistadors and knights. And it seems like that the help, even though it's coming from Skull, it's probably not going to be enough to deal with the opponents at once. In the meantime, at the top, China number 2 is going to be needing assistance pretty soon as well, I'm thinking, from Fengxin. Fengxin, though, already does have the castle, so he's going to be dropping the plumed archers pretty soon. And even though in low numbers they are not going to be all that much of a match for the Conquistadors. Conquistadors are really strong in the Castle Age. Once they are getting the critical numbers, they are going to be a whole lot better. Yeah, right now just Yannick having a look around so that he knows what's going to come. And he right now is seeing that the plume touches are not really that far away from coming inside the Green's base. In the meantime, we are still seeing China number 2 losing a ton of villages, being kept at just 33. Lix is at 32. Whereas, of course, the opponents are having just a whole lot better economies. At 43, 45, 49 times 2. But it has to be said that right now the last castle age for China is going to be coming up. But for Ovenka, it's just absolutely in some other universe for him. He's just right now at 200 food. And he's just not having the economy to be able to advance it to the next stage. And it's going to be all up to Skull. All up to Skull. If he can somehow keep him alive. That's what's going to be this battle evolved into in just a few next seconds. Another tower attempted to be built. Seems like that Ovenka is just not giving up. And on the one hand, it kind of makes sense. Because as fast, or rather as soon as he actually abandons his forward base, he's going to be forced into basically heavily defensive. And that's something that he doesn't need at this stage of his economy and his castle age advance. So yeah, he kind of is fighting for his life. As there is a super strong economy, of course. By blue on the water, he's having 23 fishing boats. So he's actually booming very strongly. He's basically having like 79 villages right about now. Whereas the best from China is having 65 and 67. Which is not really that far behind. But yeah, it's still going to be pretty strong for them. So Yannick and Error doing a great job. But of course they are doing a great job against China number 2. Because China number 2 is alone the whole game. He's not receiving any kind of assistance from Fengxian at all. Fengxian is just now going to be defending himself against Radiant from Yannick. But otherwise, he hasn't done anything. He has just basically boomed off. And China number 2 seems like that he is basically going to be the martyr for China's side in this match. Because there's a third game for him. And third game that he's getting massacred. Really. Very hard match for him. Very hard match for him. But if overall the team is gonna win, why not? It's working for them. So of course. In the meantime, of course, there are going to be Conquistadors coming into Ovenka's base. As Lix is finally finding it all that easier to go for a bit of raiding, exactly as Ovenka is clicking into Castle Age. Error is coming into Imperial Age though. That has to be said. And the camels are, well... they are ships. They are actually ships. So yeah, right now at least one of them died. The other fire ship, and that's going to be pretty much it. As some water economy is going to be coming up from Lix. So why not? He is in the power in there. Tower's coming down, so that was a bit of a waste of resources for Ovenka. But a bit of a waste, it is at least serving the purpose, as I said a bit before. It is slowing down the advance of Yo and Lix. And that's what he needs to help himself and his teammate Skull to prepare for the attack that is inevitably going to be coming. It's actually quite a fast Imperial Age apparently from Error. Well, because he does have the strong economy. And he's going to be apparently also landing. And so far he's keeping the boats alive. Why not? He's not popped. He's at 117. But once he is getting a bit more desperate for the population limit, of course he's going to be deleting the boats in there. So it's going to be stable. A lot of knights and cavaliers and whatnot coming from him. Already bloodlines. Yannick Imperial Age as well. This game is actually going quite alright for CZs. Quite alright indeed. And well, it's going to be all depending on the fact how Skull and Ovenka can actually hold on. Because on the left, it doesn't seem like that Fengxian. That Fengxian with China number 2 should be basically holding against their opponents. You can see that right now China number 2 is in an absolutely horrible situation. Attempting to come forward, not exactly sure what to do. Maybe get there some stone for castles or whatnot. But yeah, he is going to be faced with a pretty difficult situation very soon. And this villager, yeah, trying to build a wall. But he's going to be fairly surprised once he sees that this is already brewing in there. China number 2, view. So far he hasn't noticed. Right now he's probably seeing the villages right now coming through. And the knight, yeah, well, he's going to be putting a stop to this wall. As another stable is going to be coming up in the front. And a whole lot more help is going to be needed from Fengxian seriously soon. I'm really not sure what Fengxian is right now doing. He's been raided at the bottom. This is what he's doing. That's because Yannick is already raiding him very well. That's going to be a bit of assistance from you, apparently. But it's, of course, working very well from the bottom, for the bottom of Czech team. Because it will mean that not all army from Yo is going to be annoying him. There is still plenty of it, but Skal and Ovenka will be having extra time to prepare for what is to come. Castle drop, that's super important for him, as apparently monasteries are going to be coming up as well to convert at least a few of the knights, maybe even some of the conquistadors. Yeah, the army is getting kinda scary, and it's going to be just basically damage reduction in here. The way to victory for CZ is going to be quite assuredly through the top, and it is definitely going to be coming quite strong, because the Cavaliers are in, Imperial Age is coming for Yo Fengtian and Skal, so still, Chinese are going to be far behind in the Imperial Ages, as those Cavaliers with a few Conquistadors in there, even though he was able to finish with the walls China number 2, it's still not going to be strong enough, because the opponent is already in, he has stopped the wall at the top, that was super crucial for him, and he's going to be absolutely wrecking all units in here, even though Fengtian is finally helping with at least some archers in there. So a bit of assistance maybe gonna be needed from Yannick. Yannick. And he's trying to push through, as finally the wall-in has been finished, and it seems that it's going to be finished at the bottom as well by Yo very well, so it's going to be very hard right now for CZs to push forward, unless they get some siege finally. Now there seems to be some interesting fight going on, and of course some conversions also in line of the two monks in there, and well, in the meantime of course some siege coming up, but with the priests, aka monks, converting also a few units from the opponents, it seems like that they will be able to defend just fine. Yeah, he's gonna lose the mill. Who minds? Who is going to be bothered by that? Nobody. Conquistadors got through, apparently through the house. Ah, there is a way through. There is actually a hole in this wall that wasn't finished. And that might be spelling a disaster for actually Orange. Even though he's right now going to be plugging the hole, it's still going to be a whole lot easier for them to push forward. And Yannick is just making life very difficult for Fengtian. Whereas Error has basically already killed China number 2, it has to be said. As he is at just 23 villages, literally. 23 villages, and even though Ovenka is not a whole lot better off at 36. Yeah, it seems like the defense at the bottom with Skal is going a whole lot better than it is at the top. Nice choke point. But you mustn't forget that there are tons of archers, and of course they are going to be picking those guys one by one. And already the wall being prepared right now by Fengtian. But village is not going in yet, they are going to be coming in pretty soon. Got pretty decent amount of cavaliers already. With castle going to be built by Yannick right on top of the opponent, and the trebuchet of course is going to be killing quite easily all those walls, and of course the gates in there as well. So Green has been able to somehow wall himself in with at least a few villages for the economy. He's also walled himself in for the stone gathering. This is actually very nicely played in there, and already some deletions are coming up from Error because he needs to free some population limit for himself. All the knights in here with the trebuchet and whatnot coming up with the castle also, so this seems like going quite well against Fengtian. And China number 2, whereas at the bottom it seems like that Ovenka with Skal have been actually able to stop the attack, at least for the time being. He's having Chemos in there, but he seems to be quite ready for the Mango Dice already. In the Imperial Age having the 117 population limit on the villages, Yannick at 106, 126 for Error. Very strong economies considering the Chinese are having 100 for Fengtian, 126 for Yo, and just 60 for Lex. Just 60 for Lex. So the economies are tons better for CZs. China number 2, 23 of course, but it's going to be growing in there, in the safety of his base. But Ovenka is also growing from the 36, he's already at 39 right now at 40, and he's still having basically double the amount of villages of the opponent. And with all the monks, he's going to be basically countering the most problematic unit that the opponents are having against those Mango Dice. Already elite right about now, Thumbring coming up, and leather archer armor for the upgrades in there, and they are most definitely working their way to basically secure themselves and push onto licks in there. So nicely played, and there's probably going to be a whole lot more help needed from Yo. Yeah, you can already see that Yo is forced basically fully health in here, because it has to be said that China number 2 is absolutely not present in here. So right now it's full on 2v2 between Error with Yannick, and they are facing Yo and Fengxian in here, whereas on the right it's going to be Skull with a bit of Ovenka. He does have something in there, and those monks could be quite crucial in the fight, just against Lix alone. So that seems to be working quite well for them. Second castle build, and Conquistadors are apparently going to be the unit of choice for the Spanish. Well, he doesn't need any other paladins. It will be quite expensive. Right now paladins coming in with Blast Furnace. On top of that, with Caravan for the trade. And that's actually another problem potentially for Chinese. Because since Green is basically killed, and it's going to be just a question of time before he's absolutely annihilated, they are of course going to be losing the best trade route possible from the top to the bottom. That is already right now going to be established, and it's going to be a whole lot shorter and not as effective as it's going to be, of course, for the Caesar team. Nice wall by Ovenka. We are probably going to be expecting a bit more volume from him, but in the meantime, that's going to be Castle protecting the very super crucial gold. And they are just pushing forward onto Lix. It's going to be a question of time before they are going to be using the water eye as well, I'm thinking. I'm really thinking it would be a good idea to at least be a bit annoying from that side, but at the same time, yeah, for example, Cannon Galleons would be very expensive to research. So that's not something that you probably want to invest in at this time. Yo, as the Mongol, getting quite up. He's having already elites with +3/+3. Skull is having already full upgraded. Coinage coming for apparently whom? For Yo. So he's going to be maybe slinging into China number 2. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe into Lix. I'm thinking into Lix would be slightly better. Lix right now coming for full-on defensive with fortified walls in there, as the battle is brewing on at the top, and it seems like that really castle has been dropped, and CZs are definitely pushing forward here very well indeed. With the Paladins and Elite Conquistadors with full upgrades, it's really working well for them. Fully upgraded army in here, whereas there are not really full upgrades from Fengxian. Iron Casting just now coming in for extra attack on the Halberdiers, but he is still going to be missing extra upgrades in there. Finally, Imperial Age for Lix. But let's see if it's going to be fast enough or not. Because, of course, those Conquistadors, they are absolutely wrecking. They are absolutely totally wrecking all the Halberdiers. And the Paladins are just going to be able to get through very easily. Very easily indeed. Especially as soon as all those barracks are going to be laid down by the fire from the trebuchets. Important castles to basically protect the trade route and the economy, and kind of halfway protect also the teammate. But yeah, I kind of think that really they should be pushing forward a whole lot more right now. As Yannick and Error. Castle another being dropped right now for the Persian as well, as they should be really trying to get rid of everything that is remaining from China number 2, because he is coming up. He's at 45 villages already, whereas I was looking for Ovenka at 69. Of course, a whole lot better, but as soon as China number 2 is in some kind of semblance of a good position for himself, yeah, he's going to be just a bit too much to handle for the Czechs. I'm fairly afraid about that, because the pockets for Chinese are playing well, and even though they are slightly losing, if they allow China number 2 to join the fight, it might be just evening out. It might be just a bit too late at the same time, because those Conquistadors are just absolutely wrecking everything in there. With the help of the Paladins, even though the Paladins are going to be needed in pretty big, and a lot bigger numbers just about now. Not really sure where he is all that much. Nah, he has actually gotten through. It's right now going to be red in green, exactly as I said. So good idea on that, and it's going to be putting him into a whole lot more difficult situation than he already is in. Some onages from Skull. As on the right, this is basically just going to be wall from both sides. That's not going to be any kind of advance at all. With the siege works, maybe just some onages trying to push through sneakily next to the castle, but otherwise all those onages from Skull are doing a great job in here, and well, it seems like that China Sai is not in a kind of great spot. A lot of castles from the Mongol. He's finally fully upgraded, but yeah, we are looking at sling into China number 2. Oh no, he's actually slinging into Lix. Yep, so they are slinging into Lix. They are paving the way through for... This is nicely played. Nice double wall. If it wasn't for the tree line getting leveled by the siege onages. So nicely played by CZs, and Skull is just going to be ravaging the countryside. And of course the trade a bit later just by himself. And with the Paladins already in, they are running behind all those trade cards in here, as we are looking in the main battlefield in here in the middle, and they are still seized, still advancing forward, killing the castles in there, killing all the economy from the opponents, and they are just inevitably pushing forward in here. Castle going to be dropped, yet another one for purple. For purple, just assuming dominance and assertive dominance as well above the base of his opponent, and it seems like the economies are still going to be continuing, still going to be better. Not really that convincingly anymore, as opposed, or rather, if we actually leave out China number 2. But otherwise, 135, 116, 114 for Chinese, and for the Czechs, it's 128, 137, 143. It's still a lot better, but not really that game-changingly better. But still, it's really working for them, and Czechs are right now getting right next to the trade, and it's going to be, I think, you know, one of the last nails in the coffin, because the gold is already running out all across the map. And it seems like the Chinese won't be really sweeping this match. It seems like that they are going to be losing one, and that actually could be proven a very important game for Czechs, because it's fully expected that the Chinese are going to be dominating all the other matches as well, even through 4-0s. So this one game for Czechs might be proven very important, and I'm definitely glad about that, of course, as a Czech native myself. So good job, guys. It was a very well played match by you. And even though it's not over yet, I'm having kind of doubts how Chinese could be actually coming back, because they are being pushed at the top, they are being pushed at the bottom, and I don't see a way how China number 2 at this time could be coming into the game and play some significant role, whereas Ovenka is already pushing forward, as he's having plate mail armor, conscription, iron casting. He's in the Imperial Age, and those Eagle Warriors are going to be a good complement to the Mangurais that Skull is pushing out into the battlefield with him. But Spanish is right now switching into full paladins. As you can see, he's not going to be building some Conquistadors in here, so there is still some kind of chance for Chinese if they are going to be playing this well. But yeah, Massacre in the trade route in here. Nicely played indeed. And right now, since the top side basically gave all the time that the bottom side for Czech team needed to get back into the game, right now it's going to be up to Ovenka to fully help in the game, and he definitely is well set up for that with the Imperial Age, nice upgrades on the infantry, and probably going to be switching into Halberdiers pretty soon as well. So far it's just Eagle Warriors, but he needs to be really playing with them a whole lot more carefully. Probably coordinate with Skull a whole lot better. So right now Skull is through with tons of siege. Literally tons of siege. He's going to be just in the meantime trying to at least house his opponent. As Mangurais are going to be... Oh, careful! What are you doing, Skull? He just lost like a quarter of his army, maybe even more. That was horrible. Man, if you do this, you can Titanic the game very easily. God damn it. That was horrible. And this is exactly those paladins are what I'm talking about. That he should be cooperating with Ovenka a whole lot more. Because Ovenka is the one that should be protecting him against the paladins. Otherwise the siege is just going to be falling like flies. Yeah, well, careful right now in here. CZs. Even though the game might look quite well going for you, you mustn't underestimate basically the best team in the world, one of the best teams in the world, so that you wouldn't be disappointed with the result. Those smokes should be coming into battle as well, just to list the population limit in there. But yeah, in here it seems like that all the siege charges is going to be lost pretty needlessly, has to be said. Pretty needlessly indeed, because he killed third of his army in there, quarter of third, and then he was just coming alone into the base of 2. So that was just a whole lot of his resources in there. Whereas at the top, as we look in, finally some bombard towers coming up, basically just to make sure that they are not going to be losing ground all that easily to the opponents, rather than just running amok in the opponent's base. And as we look in actually with something else, well, trying to kill the trade for themselves and for their opponents, of course, so that they are having the advantage. And how's it looking with purple? Yeah, I was just looking for him on the battlefield in there. He's right now trying to push through the walls in here with the siege rams, and with the Conquistadors on top of that. Going to be trying to build another row of walls, but I don't think he's going to be fast enough. I don't really think he's going to be fast enough, and those Conquistadors should be really pushing forward quite easily. You can see that even just the shooting by the Conquistadors is putting down the wall very easily. So yeah, that's going to be it for this trade. They will have to rebuild a bit more to the south. which is going to be a bit more difficult than probably could be expected. He's going to be making the trade, of course, not as effective as it is. As right now, the Mangudais are just right now falling back yet again, hoping that they can protect the trade route a bit better. But we have Paladins all across the base, with Skull having some army yet again up, and with the monks exactly being in place, they could be just converting the Paladins for themselves yet again. Yeah, right now they should be really continuing in here, and right now GGs are going to be called by Chinese, and it's, well, going to be victory for Czechs. Definitely great job. They were quite close in some games in there. In basically a lot of the games they were quite close. And just something was missing in there. But this time it was missing for the Chinese, and for the Czechs it went quite nicely. Well, congrats on the win. As I said a bit before, this is going to be very important for the group stage overall, as it's definitely expected that China's side is going to be dominating the other matches as well. And if they win the other matches 4-0 as well, then this one victory might be putting Czechs into some good position. So definitely curious how the later match today is gonna go. At 19 GMT I'm going to be streaming them as well. Czech A is going to be playing against Argentina A, and it might be just very easily this fight for the second spot. So let's check the achievements. Yannick, yes. Yannick and Error, that was game-winning duo on the top, and Skull, he was just absolutely instrumental in keeping Ovenka alive and stopping licks with Yo, and he just did an absolutely glorious job of that. That was quite nice, that he was able to keep Ovenka alive, whereas Fengxian, well, he just basically sacrificed China number 2, to be honest, a bit in there, and he wasn't helping him for a long time, for a long time. But he was also raided from Yannick, so it was kind of difficult for him, because China died so soon that Fengxian, even before he was ready, he already had to defend himself against Raiden. Yeah, well, that was quite indeed. Good home map choice by CZs. You could have seen from the start that they were preparing for that, and I just, after the game, will have to ask why Ovenka was going for the palisades on the right. It just didn't make any kind of sense at all. It was just absolutely confusing to me. I'm just gonna ask him right now if I still see him in the game room. Oh, he left? Oh, no, he didn't. I have him on chat, actually. So just gonna ask him right now. Let's see what he tells. In the meantime, we're going to be looking at the rest of the achievements. That was a significant sling, of course. From Yo, he was trying to put licks back on his feet. And even into Fengxian. That's interesting. Fengxian was having good echo. Wouldn't have expected that he needed to be slung. Yeah, and right now Ovenka saying, what was the plan? Okay. Okay, so that was exactly what I expected. They wanted to, this at the start, the disaster for Ovenka, the one village lost in there, they wanted to wall off the lake altogether. They wanted to wall it off and prevent actual licks coming for it altogether. So I had a good guess in there. But it backfired pretty badly for them, of course. We have seen that he lost the villager, and in the end, it luckily didn't matter. And CZs won the game anyway. Yeah, they thought that it was slightly less close towards lakes. And they were hoping that the map spawned slightly better, but it didn't. They were hoping that the wall would be needed just a bit shorter, but yeah. It was discovered and he paid for it. But anyway, in the end, the Chinese paid and Czechs take the last game and make the end result be 1-4, or rather 1-3, sorry, 1-3. GG.